All right. So, welcome all of you in today's session. If you're comfortable, you can keep your videos on so we could see your beautiful faces. And I am Ketki. I'm based in Solihull, United Kingdom, and I'm founder of Atman Yoga Consultancy. Through Atman Yoga, we deliver different yoga programs, and one of them is Divine Chants. Through Divine Chants, we try to explore different scriptures, mainly like Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita. The main aim of starting this activity is to get connected or try to go back to the roots and try to get that wisdom, what is there in our scriptures. So we meet on every second Saturday of each month. So far, we have gone through the Vedic chanting, and after that we started with Bhagavad Gita. We haven't covered the entire scripture, but we selected a few verses related to Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raja Yoga. So past 3 months, we were looking at Jnana Yoga shlokas. We tried to understand concepts like Purusha, Prakriti, what are the different sorts of realities. And I think today, on the same line, we are going to explore the concept of creation and merger from Upanishads. And today we are privileged to have Dr. Lalitha Gaurav with us. I welcome Dr. Lalitha. Thank you for giving us your time, and you're going to share your valuable knowledge with us all. So I will give a brief introduction about her. She has done MSc in Yogic Science and doctorate from S. Vyasa Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Samsthan from Bangalore, India. She was a senior to us, and we always looked up to her as our role model. She's well versed in Vedas, Upanishads. She's expert in Vedic chanting, and she's a net qualified professional with 15 years of experience in research. She has published different research papers, teaching and imparting knowledge in yogic scriptures, yoga therapy. She has also worked as assistant professor in Department of Yogic Sciences of Lakshmibai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior, for about 8 years. Dr. Lalitha, along with her husband Gaurav, they are the founders of Vinyasa Yoga Studio in Gwalior, and from past 11 years, they are doing amazing job of imparting knowledge, giving different yoga programs, yoga therapy programs, teachers training programs under their guidance. She has experience in design and delivery of yogic training programs for various sects of people like army snipers, special armed police force, school teachers, print media journalists, factory workers, company executives, and prisoners. She is proficient in yogic counseling, Vedic chanting, educating and certifying the post-grad and diploma students in yoga with rigorous refinement in yoga therapy and disease management. She has also immense knowledge in naturopathy and Ayurveda.
I think that's enough. That's so much about me.
No. I have to say, because
it's
all these things, and for so many years, and now I request you to take it further and start with your presentation.
Thank you so much, Ketki. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity given. I'm very indebted to AYC to get to know about people over there and your kith and kin. I can see a few of your kith and kin here, a few bright faces, although I couldn't see much because
Yeah.
If you could enable your videos, it would be easy for a teacher. I'm basically a teacher, so I've been working like a teacher. So rather than seeing black spaces, I'd love to see students' faces, and that's how,
Yes.
we interact better. So that's my kind request submission to you all. Before starting up with the facets and tenets of Jnana Yoga and deeper concepts of Srishti and Moksha, according to Gita and Upanishads, we would first start with a small prayer. Om Vang Me Manasi Pratisthita Mano Me Vachi Pratishtitam Aviravirmayedhi Vedasya Ma'ani Isthaha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasi Anenadhitena Ahorotran Sandadhami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, one and all. I hope you're all aware about the term Jnana Yoga. Swami Vivekananda calls this Jnana Yoga as part of intellect or philosophy. He says you have to intellectually analyze, reanalyze, and then get the steady wisdom. That's how Jnana Yoga goes about. So before moving into the concept of Srishti and merger, we'll first understand what basically Jnana Yoga means. This is a favorite slide of all of our Guruji, Dr. H.R. Nagendra, Chancellor of Vyasa. He says there are steps in Jnana Yoga: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and then you get that steady wisdom called Jnana. After that you have realized yourself, after that you have obtained that self-emancipation, is more states of perfection. That's what Jnana Yoga targets. Is a sthiti called Jivan Mukta, where it's not the end of life. People feel that Samadhi means to get, that's the end of life. Because there's this Hindi synonym of Samadhi where, Jnanis and Sadhus are put into a rock solid stature where they have, after their physical death, they are put into. So everybody has this thing in their mind that Samadhi is end of life. So here we don't use the word Samadhi as we do in Raja Yoga. Here we call it as Jivan Mukta. And the word itself verily says, Jite Ji Mukti. There are many Hindi personalities, Hindi speaking persons here. What is Jivan Mukta? Being into the life, but still you are out of the bondage. It is not death, but you are still alive. And then moving further ahead, these jnanis, these jnana yogins or rishis or seers get a stage where they move into further states of perfection, obtaining siddha, obtaining powers. So this is called siddha sthiti. And then further ahead, they move into a phase called ultimate silence. That's what Guruji says, ultimate silence. So total silence is nothing but moksha. Now, quickly, we'll move through the slides and then find out what are the stages. Shravana. Rather moving into Sanskrit terms, we'll try to simplify them. What is Shravana? What are you doing right now? You're listening to me. You are unable to get some concepts into your head, but still you are trying to listen, trying to focus, pay attention, and then listening. So the first step of Jnana Yoga is listening. What do you listen? Do you listen to music? No. There is nothing endearing and enchanting happening here. It's not interesting. Why? Because you have to use too much of brains to understand, comprehend what this lady is speaking. So it is not enchanting, but it needs a little amount of faith, surrender, and respect. All three put together, what we call as Shraddha. So the first stage is listening with Shraddha. The second stage is called Manana, recapitulating what you have listened to. What did you listen to? I didn't listen to much, but I just could understand that she is speaking something very subtle. Something that is not, that does not occur into my mind. That goes beyond the comprehensive ability of my intellect. No? So that is what you are going to think, rethink, and analyze. The third stage is to dwell upon those things told, retold, recapitulated, analyzed, and meditated upon. How do you meditate upon things that you listen to? You can meditate upon the sound of a flowing river. You can meditate upon bright, shiny sun early in the morning at 4:30. But how could you meditate upon things which have been given as secret, sacred pieces of advice? Only when you try to administer those principles into life, only when you try to incorporate those things in life, you shall be able to meditate. So that's the only idea of Nididhyasana. What is that you are listening? What is that you are analyzing? What is that you have to bring into your life? What is the piece of wisdom that I am talking about? That one thing which is eternal, which is always with you, which will always stand by your side even when your family, friends, relatives, profession, wealth, assets, kids, whomever you think to be source of dependence, leave away. What is it? That is yourself. Understanding the eternity of self and realizing, rebuking all this impermanent material world that could, charm you, lure you. That's what it does, right? When you are in love, what happens? You feel like your boyfriend or your girlfriend is the one who could, take care of yourself. You can't, breathe without him or her. While you are walking with the nature, you think about him or her. So that is the source of energy which So that love is the source of energy with which you live life. But later on, what happens? You get married and then you you are done with the wisdom, right? There lies the dawn of wisdom. How impermanent can connections, relationships, can your wealth, can your assets, can your so-called knowledge, can help you through. So cutting yourself off, not by hatred. You're not hating people. I'm not asking you to hate people. Hate circumstances, hate profession, hate, money, or don't earn money. No. Jnana Yoga does not speak anything on the basis of hatred. That's beauty about Jnana Yoga. When you relinquish something, it should come out of compassion, it says. It should come out of ultimate love, it says. So how do you do that? It is willingly disconnecting yourself from people, things, circumstances, knowing that they are impermanent, and then directing yourself to that inner being, which is eternal. Now, how do you do it? It is very difficult. The mechanism that Jnana Yoga says, use your intellect. How do you use it? I do not know how to comprehend such, mystic things that you're speaking, lady. I do not know. So Swamiji means whenever, sorry, I should say this. Whenever I speak Swamiji, I refer to Swami Vivekananda. Okay. So Swamiji says, use your intellect to transcend it. Beautiful. How do you use it? Now your intellect, your mind is completely filled with that clutter of all gross thoughts. You have planned something for the, 3 days ahead, what you have to do. You have planned something for the evening, and you have all those melted sorrows, inside your chitta samskara, wherever you have it within, and then you have some expectations, which is futuristic, later part. And then by being here, listening to Lalitha, then also your work, the mind, the brain machine is working all the time with all those clutter. So this clutter is filled up with gross thoughts, he says. Jnana Yoga asks the aspirants to replace the gross thoughts by questioning. Remember? Manana. What do you do there? Recall what you have listened to and analyze. How do you analyze? You question. Is the lady speaking sense? Is she talking about something which is really feasible to do in life? Unless until you don't analyze, ask yourself those questions. In Tamil we say, the words that go from mouth, from one end of the ear, it goes from the other end of the ear. It doesn't go into the brain. Unless until you have this question mark in the brain, it goes inside the brain. So replace. Now you have these stupid questions like, okay, let me just try to see what she is speaking about. Replace these queries with deeper queries. If at all she is speaking sense, then what is the real purpose of my life? Do I, was I ever born to do my duties and responsibilities as a sister, as a mother, as a teacher? Sorry, I'm replacing myself. As your profession, you can, substitute with your profession. Do I have to do those duties, responsibilities, and end up my life on the deathbed like this? This is why I have been, taken a place in this world, in this cosmos. If yes, then there is no sense. If no, then it makes hell a lot of sense. So what is the real purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why am I put to this particular area? Why am I born to only those set of parents? Why am I given this exposure of Jnana Yoga delivery? No? Why am I even listening to it? How did I get this opportunity? Why am I connected to those events? Where all these lead to? The fundamental search is the search for happiness, I say, ladies. I don't find my men here, sorry. The fundamental search is search for happiness. Am I happy? Yes, when I finish my targets, when I accomplish something, I feel happy. But if at all that is happiness, there should be a big full stop over there. No? But no. We have next set of targets, next set of accomplishments ready to open its doors off. No? We are ready at that door head, no? Trying to knock the other one. Is this eternal happiness? What is eternal happiness? Being with pure consciousness, relinquishing all this impermanent materialistic world, relationships. I'm not talking about sannyasa. Sannyasa is an integral part of Jnana Yoga. Yes, definitely. But it would be wrong if I could say that Jnana Yoga is not for householders. Rama had lived his life as a Jnana Yogi. Didn't he relinquish his kingdom for higher and eternal values called truth? He wasn't a sannyasi. Didn't Krishna live his life with these tenets of things in life, things in his mind? His parents were no parents. He went up to his parents and then made up someone else, his grandfather as the king of the kingdom. No, made up some another, some other nation called, some other province called Dwaraka, far away from the original state where he was born. He knew that work, expect nothing. Having that wisdom as the basis is all these relationships, all these kingdoms which come and go are impermanent. The one permanent thing, that one thing is bliss. Being with that conscious being, consciousness, pure consciousness, which is your inner being. Now moving ahead, transcending dualities is one another key element in Jnana Yoga. If you further progress in Jnana Yoga, the wisdom will provide you stability wherein you transcend mana apamana, shita ushna, raga dvesha, sukha and dukkha. Whatever life will give you, if life gives you garland, there would be one at the last also. No? If life gives you roses, there would be roses on the deathbed also, right? So nothing comes beautifully presented as gift packages in life. Everything that comes, it comes with another side of the coin, sweet and sour, or I should say sweet and bitterness. So to attain the stability, to accept the sweetness and bitterness as one, because sweet is also impermanent and bitterness is also impermanent. Simple. That's what Rama did. Now, that ability which a Jnana Yogi has Krishna is always novel. He is innovative in expressing his terms. Although you could find shloka by shloka, word by word, very synonymous, very, word by word, the same thing we could see in Kathopanishad. Gita and Kathopanishad sounds the same, but the way Krishna expresses Advaita Vedanta, he is completely novel. He's always that way, no? He's very charming. His naughtiness is also novel, innovative. So he calls this Jnana Yogi as Sthita Prajna, beautifully coined. No, nowhere else you could see this term other than Gita. A person whose awareness is steady is called Sthita Prajna. Now, when you're toiled by Gwalior's heat, 45 degree, I should say, here it is 45 degree. So when you're going, you will be completely tormented in Gwalior, 45 degree. Anyway, on the other hand, at Siachen Glacier, it is minus 30 degree. A person who could stay unhinged, strong and steady, able enough to understand, to acclimatize with the heat and the cold, with the sweetness and sourness, with the sweetness and bitterness, with the insult and praises that life gives, is what Asthita Prajna is, and hence his awareness is said to be steady. What kind of awareness Krishna is speaking of? Krishna is speaking of inner awareness. When you are not steady with your inner awareness, when someone gives you, starts to scream upon you, you scream back. That too when you're kid. When it so happens, when your kid screams upon you, you scream back, right? It is at the moment that you lose the spur of moment and your inner awareness is lost. When you are steady with this inner awareness, the screaming, the yellings, and the praises seems to be one. And hence he is called Sthita Prajna. How do you get that ability? Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Krishna says, one who could relinquish all the desires that rise out of mind. That is one point. Who should relinquish all desires. 2, by relinquishing desire doesn't mean you're dry. You're dry within. But you are ever contented. How are you ever contented? Contented in yourself itself. By being yourself, I'm happy. What happens when you are thrown to the Ladakh plateau before glaciers? There are streams in front of you and then you're awestruck. What will happen? You are so much tuned into self, awestruck by the nature. Everything in the outer world seems to be glazy, gloomy, but you are completely into yourself. That's a state of meditation, right? This is being steady in awareness. And that shouldn't happen on the Ladakh plateau. That shouldn't happen before Himalaya. That should happen at your house also, in your kitchen. So moving ahead, I'm taking much time, so I'm missing certain slides, sorry. The eventual thing, what Jnana Yogis call as Jnana, perfect wisdom, is nothing but silence. It is not verbal silence. No, you're already maintaining that silence. Thank you so much, muting yourselves down. But this is this phase of silence which happens over here, up over here. Nothing will perturb you. No thought, no expectation, no feeling, no attraction, no absurd hatred, anything for that matter. It is that silence that envelops your entire structure as if there's nothing else but silence. And this particular state is called Ananda. Why Ananda? Why not happiness? Why not Sukha? Why only Ananda? Is this hidden objective behind giving the term Ananda or bliss, you know. When you say happiness, there is this opposite situation called sorrow, misery, trouble, right? Think of a situation which is opposite to bliss. Anulom Shabd of Ananda. Try. Vilom Shabd, antonym of Ananda. You will never get one. That bliss is a state where once you have gone into and embraced, you can never be back. You're always absorbed into it. Hence, it is called Ananda. And your inner being, your core inner being is beyond this kosha. It's not Ananda yet. It is more beyond. Krishna says, it is not just working with thoughts, but also working with emotions. Remember, mind is not only the conglomeration of thoughts. Also is a complex of emotions. So you have to cut the root of all emotions. I'm not going to this slide. This is going to take time. Sorry, I'm missing this. Coming back to the core essence of Jnana Yoga Sadhana, which says, cut that root of emotion or thought that happens in your mind. How do you do it? There's this beautiful word Krishna again uses, asi. Asi means a sword, you know, in Sanskrit. With a sword, you cut it. What is this sword that he is talking about? Sword of wisdom. What kind of wisdom? Wisdom enough to understand that this is real, this is real. This is permanent, this is impermanent. This is seemingly good, this is good. When you could have that viveka, that discriminative power, then you do understand what is more important in life, what would be the purpose of your life. Other than that, you have so many sharp edges of thoughts, emotions, whatnot, all negative, all negative. So he says, do not allow the looping. Even we do understand, you know, we call a person crazy or insane one who does things in loop, one who speaks in loop. But we do the same. We listen to music in loop. We do think things in loop. We try to digest like a cow chewing the cud of past events. When you see a person, oh, this was the person who wronged me. He was wearing a red shirt at that point of time. Anything that is red will become dangerous to you. Oh, I do not know. I'm wearing one. That is intricate is your memory. That intense is your memory. So when you're going to do that looping of thoughts, it is going to be dangerous, even more dangerous. Jnana Yoga says, no, don't make that happen. Cut that from the grassroots level, uproot it. How do you do it? Analyze. Discriminate. Is this very much necessary in my life? Is this important in my life? Is he important in my life? Does his statement make any difference? The answer is no. Then why do we have to put our heads into it? Simple. Second, is very, very difficult. The second thing is to rearrange the memories to what we call as chitta. This chitta is absolutely absurd. You know, it makes you think in such a manner what it wants you to think, because it had already made assumptions, pre-assumptions, all thoughts have been conceived, put it in a beautiful box, and then it presents it to you. 15 years later, that red-shirted fellow will definitely, 15 years later, you have changed a lot, but that red-shirted fellow never had. This is what chitta will make you think. Now, how do you rearrange this chitta? How do you replace these gross thoughts, bad ideas with useful, spiritual, eventually progressive thoughts? Is through meditation. So these two are the ideas in Jnana Yoga. These two are the sadhana. Pariketiki. I try to finish it within 30 minutes. Concept of Shrishti. Our basic, this is why we are here together. To understand what is creation according to scriptures. Science gives charming evidences, luring evidences. Big Bang Theory, someone says. Now NASA had come up with a conclusion that what if the universe has no beginning at all? Because now I think astrophysicists had, done themselves up with understanding this universe and how it came up with. Before moving into Upanishads story, I'll tell you what I understood in my master degree. When I did my master degree in SVasa, there was a symposium on a scripture called Yoga Vashishta. It's a later scripture, very recent one, yet very substantial in terms of Advaita Vedanta. Now, in that symposium, I was told, there was a big gathering. I learned that mind is the basic fabric of creation. I was completely taken aback, just like you all are now. I create the universe. What the heck? I couldn't try to understand from this point only when speakers started to, exponentially speak about, different stories on Yoga Vashishta. I couldn't pay heed. I was stuck at this point and I asked Ratna Didi, Nagaratna Didi, what is this? Do I create universe? I am the creator. Is that not Ishvara, the Lord, or something that universe says, science says that there is this big bang, the energy, the primordial energy, which. So she beautifully, she is very sweet that way, I should say. She very beautifully illustrated me with an example, which I'm trying to reiterating to you, so that you also try to be like me, understand what it is about. She said, Lalita, what happens when you sleep? I said, what happens to me sleep? When I sleep, I sleep. What happens to me when I sleep? I do not know, Didi. See, when you could see that the table is out there, the lamp is out there, the things that you have arranged in the shelf, the books, everything is out there, and then you close your eyes, then you go off to sleep. Yes, Didi. It so happens, yes. And then what happens when you open your eyes? All the things out there, the table, the lamp, the shelf, the books, everything that you have arranged in your room are out there at the set position where you have kept? Yes, absolutely, Didi. What is that you want me to tell? Or what is that you're trying to express? I do not know. She says, just as you close your eyes and then sleep, you are actually trying to gather all those articles, all those stuff inside you, like a pralaya. And this we call as Nitya Pralaya, she says. And then when you open your eyes, your mind is charged, it creates the same stuff out there just as it was, just how it was. It definitely made a great impact, definitely made a great sense to me then, that the universe is how as we see, as we make. When you find your universe to be bad, troublesome, because you make it, your mind makes it. When you understand your universe to be supportive, endearing, all love and caring, it is because of you. And then I could correlate with Gita's words, Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye. Oh, this is what Krishna also said. Oh, which means mind in its subtle form is that cosmic being called Brahman. It's that pure being, and he creates the world. Mind creates the universe. What happens to this mind then? During creation, it gets tainted with all these structures and stuff. Like, oh, my universe has mother-in-law. My universe has sister-in-law. My universe has a gloomy boss in my life. Now, what happens? That universe is tainted with its creation. The mind gets tainted with its creation and gets grossified. Hence, we couldn't understand that mind in its purest form is Brahman. Mind in its grossest form is what we have to relinquish off. I hope you're all with me. I'm very sorry if this is getting very intense. And it is going to be. I'll try to simplify, but still be with me. Whenever you find it difficult, please raise your hand and you can have questions in between also. Although Ketki told me you'll have 10 minutes for questions, but still. Yoga Vashishta says, Manomayam Jagat. The entire physical universe is what you have created. If you accept that fact, you can change this universe. You live in the same universe of Julia Roberts. You live in the same universe of you yourself. See how Julia sees it. See how you see it. Not because of the wealth that I am talking about. She is a great yogi, She has become a yogini. So, physical world is just a replica what the mind shows you. Universe is projected by Brahman only by the mind. Then why is that we don't say Jesus created the world? Likewise, Brahman created the world. We don't say in Advaita Vedanta, in any Hindu scripture. Nobody had said. No? Nasadiya Suktam of Rigveda says, before creation, what was there? Na sadasi, no sadasi, tadani im. Neither the non-existence existed, nor the existence existed. Neither death existed, nor immortality existed. It says something breathed even without the presence of air. What was it? It is the conscious being, awareness, the subtle awareness. It had not created the world. There's this beautiful raging fire called desire, which, came up, which said, why can't one be many? And we became many. So Penny, Prajakta, Wendy, Ketaki, Lalita, Uma seem to be many, seem to have different characteristics. My eyes are small, hers are big. I come from a dark complexion, southern region of India. She is from United Kingdom. But essentially, we are all one. One became many. So we don't say Brahman created the world. Brahman, through mind, with that desire of becoming many, created the world. Taittireya Upanishad beautifully describes Srishti. Ta akamayata bahusyam prajaya yeti. It desired that why can't one be many? Satapo tapyata idam sarvam asrajata. Through penance, through the intense heat of penance, everything came into being. What everything? All akasha, ether, air, wind, all elements, everything for that matter. We'll come to that. Now go to the next line. Tadanu pravishya satcha asatpavat tadeva anupravishat. By becoming many, it entered into many. I'm very sorry. Please be with me. By becoming many, the cosmic being entered into those many beings, which means with names and forms they are many, but essentially they are one. I used to tell my students when I try to explain these, I'm not going to explain more, but I could explain this just as a 16-year-old or 20-year-old who comes up to me and then learn yogic sciences as diploma's degree. I used to give them this illustration. How does an atomic physicist see curd and rabbit? Under his electron microscope, curd, though liquid, though edible, though white, completely different stuff, is the same set of atoms and molecules like that of a rabbit. Though brown, though changing, though moving, right? Essentially, we are all one. The problem is that we, with our naked eyes, with our intellect, with our mind, with our indriyas, with our sense called ego, something that we have set up with familial rites, rituals, traditions, and customs, that you are Marathi, I am English, you are Sindhi. With race, community, creed, language, names, forms, we find all differences. Advaita says, no. When you find duality, you are at problem. You are at serious trouble. When you find that one thing in everything, there is contentment. There is bliss. So your nagging husband is nothing but you, is none but you. Your gloomy boss is none but you. Your tormenting kids, and none but you. When you could accept that, not accept, realize that, and there is no nagging, there is no tormenting, there's no feeling gloomy. See? Are you with me? Taittireya Upanishad says, from this Atman, from this Brahman comes Akasha. Akashat Vayuhu, Vayuragnihi, Agnirapaha, Adbhya Prithvi. Like ether, wind, fire, water, and earth came up from this Atman, from this Brahman. And then slowly Panchatanmatras, subtle qualities of Panchamahabhutas, the 5 elements. And then Oshadi. Oshadi is herbs, trees and plants. You know, we in Vedic terminology, we don't call them a flora and fauna, just like our biological textbooks says. We say them as Oshadi, sacred herbs. Every plant has, every tendril in this universe has medicinal property. Only a Siddha can identify, right? Like Hanuman. Hanuman goes up, even he couldn't find, because all these Oshadis went hidden. He shouldn't go to the wrong hands, right? Every herb is Oshadi. From Oshadi, from those plants, tendrils comes food and this Purusha. Purusha, here is not Purusha Prakriti, here it means man. Man is made of food, don't you see? Our growth, development, everything is dependent on Anna. Forget growth and development. Forget physical development. Your mind is made how, on the basis of how and what you eat. In Hindi we say jaisa ann vaisa man. Just as you eat, that's how you think. Every facet of human individual is made of food, the Taittireya Upanishad says. So that's how Taittireya Upanishad's model of creation. Prasna is another Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad. It says, look, universe is actually dual. Rai and Prana. Rai, it symbolizes as Chandra, the moon. Prana, as Surya, the sun. What is Rai? Rai is not that till that we use in Indian kitchen. Rai means matter. Prana means energy. Where are these rishis wrong from science discoveries? That everything, being, animate, inanimate, whatever for that matter, is made up of matter and energy. This phone is a permutation and combination of prana and rai. This remote control that I have is permutation and combination of prana and rai, matter and energy. Lalita over here is permutation and combination of prana and rai. How are we different? The wisdom to realize everything is one is Advaita Vedanta. That one being is not elsewhere, is not at the Himalayas, is not at the flowing river of Gangama, by the side of flowing river Gangama. No, is there within you, always watching. Why is it watching? Why is it witnessing? Doesn't it do anything? Sorry, I'm missing certain slides. Yes, he is a witness. He will ever remain a witness, never propel you. The propelling factors, we have many, mind, chitta, buddhi, ahankara. There are many propelling factors that we have inside. He will never propel. He will feel, he will witness, he will see. Why is he seeing? Why is he witnessing? Let him come. Let him come to Father. Moving ahead, Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad says Avasthatraya. There are 3 states of consciousness: Jagrat, Swapna, and Shushupti. We human beings in general, we move into the states of sleep, dreamy sleep, or we are awake. We do not know any other state than these 3. We move around these 3. Mandukya Upanishad beautifully, fantastically, explore these states of consciousness as a quarter of Brahman, as a half factor of Brahman. 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter. What is the 4th quarter? Which goes beyond this Vyakta state. Vyakta is manifested. You could manifest yourself in sleep. You could manifest yourself in dream. You could very well manifest in your conscious state. Avyakta, you can go into the seeded form, abstract form, unmanifested form, other than the 3. The 4th pada, Turiya. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. This state, you cannot speak because it goes beyond speech. It goes beyond your intellect. You do not know. You do not know how to describe, explain this state. Then, how can you attain the state? By being with it. By continuously, constantly, with Shraddha, putting efforts, you can attain it is not attaining the state. There's this New Delhi, and there's this London. Okay, so when you start the journey from New Delhi, you go to London, and then when you're back from London to New Delhi, you're in 2 different destinations, right? Spirituality does not prescribe destinations. So there's nothing external. You're not going somewhere else. You're not accomplishing or attaining something. You're realizing that you are that fragment of illuminous, cosmic, intellectual, free, conscious being. And just as the Srishti, just as the creation, we do not talk about destruction. It's not destroying. It's not pralaya that spirituality talks of. It is merging. We do not go there. We get merged there. That merger, in Bauddha Darshana, they call it as Nirvana. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Yoga philosophy calls it as Kaivalya. Upanishads, Vedanta talks the state as Moksha, meaning Mukti, free from the bondage of rebirth and death, disease, impermanence, sorrow, everything. So that's why it is called Moksha. Everything is not situated somewhere above 7th cloud. No. It is a state of consciousness where you could realize in yourself. Gita calls it as Brahma Nirvana. How do you obtain, obtain is not the right word. How do you realize this self-emancipation? Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran Yaf Prayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Paramangatim. Krishna says at deathbed, chant Omkara. But that's it. If you chant Omkara, then you obtain moksha. Can you realize yourself? Can you get that freedom? Omiti ekaksharam vyaharan mam anusmaran. You have to establish your thought completely into yourself. and then chant Omkara. Next time, before you start with your yoga practice, when your yoga instructor or Ketaki tells you we'll start with 3 Omkaras, do not start with Om. No. When you chant Om, Om is the symbol of that creator, that state of moksha. It can transcend you. So establish your consciousness, introvert all those things, all those thoughts, all those emotions which were diverging out, introvert it towards yourself, towards that inner being, peace, calmness, storage of silence and bliss, and then speak Om. Yaha prayati tyajandegam. When one does that at his deathbed and leaves his body, physical body, sa yati paramam gatim, he goes to that ultimate state for sure. It's a sure thing, he says. What can be more sure when Parameshwara, Sarvashaktiman Ishvara, all omnipotent, omniscient God says this is a sure thing. While you are dead, while you are at deathbed, when you could chant Omkara and when you could, introvert all those things into yourself and stay in that bliss and then leave your body, you will never be born. Your purpose of life is accomplished. It's a sure thing. When he says, will not believe. Will not believe. Will it come? Even at the point while you are dying, when you could remember the shloka and then do it, then also you couldn't, because all these indriyas are, very loose, set loose. You are urinating on your bed. You're defecating on your bed. How can you have control over your senses when you could have no control over your mind, over your thoughts? How can you do it? Hence, practice is important. Like you ride a cycle, right? The first day when your father taught you to ride a bicycle, it was very difficult. Very difficult. You have to hold your hunch back like this, pushing the right pedal down and then pulling up, trying to balance the handle. Everything was very conscious. What happens after 10 days? You never know when you have reached home with that cycle from school. It becomes very, smooth. That happens only with sadhana, only with practice. Similarly, this merger will come with practice. Merger is just not leaving physical body like Swami Vivekananda did, like Ramsha Paramhamsa did, like Raghavendra Swamigal did, like many other Swamijis did. What did they do? They tried to constrict their gross body, merged inside their subtle body, constricted their subtle body, merged inside their causal body, and then the causal body is moved towards that inner being. So magical it sounds to be. This is total mastery. This is total mastery. Physical body is just what you think as indriyas, mind, body, and all the other karmendriyas, jnanendriyas put together. Gaining mastery over all those. And then gaining mastery over mind, the subtle body, the antakarana, and then gaining mastery over the karana sharira, the samskaras and vasanas, the storage house from where we are born timelessly. We are born again and again and again, seeing the same things again and again and again, experiencing the same things again, and not yet felt that one spark. Why are we here? Are we bound to live again? Are we bound to die again? Are we bound to experience the disease again? Are we bound to experience the same sort of sorrows again? You know, that merger will happen only when you understand what is ultimate reality and getting in tune with it. How do you do it? It's not with hatred. Hatred is not what Vedanta talks of. Hatred is not what Jnana Yoga says. It should come out of love, compassion. Shraddha vallabhate jnanam. Jnana is possible only with Shraddha, total faith, surrender, love, regard to the wisdom, regard to the sadhana, to the practice that we do. That commitment will bring this jnana. That commitment will make us realize who ultimately our Swarupa is, our real nature is. And then, I do not know whether in this life or in the next life or life's next, at one point when we could realize that, we'll attain the merger and let Ishvara help us all, you know, the Sopadika Brahman, the Nirupadika Brahman, they attribute full Brahman, the attributes in abstract form Brahman can help us all with this merger. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Yoga Shloka Sangraha Harihi Om Tat Sat. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me? I cannot see my own video. All right. Wow. Lalita, that was an excellent presentation. You systematically went through the Jnana Yoga and the concept of, the creation, how the mind and our own desire, our own imaginations become the, the reality for us, and it gets different for each one of us. And what is that systematic methodology to free ourselves from all these clutches of the life? What a beautiful explanation. Thank you so much for making it so simple, but yet to contemplate on these, each one of the concept you went through. Now I open this platform for the members. If you have any questions, you please unmute yourself, and if you have anything you want to share, any doubts, any questions, please go ahead. I know it's a very heavy concept, but yet very interesting. So at least it will, encourage you or make you take some first step into learning, exploring, reading, contemplating by your own self. Because unless you put your own study or contemplation, it's really hard to digest, absorb. So listening to such lectures more often will definitely, take us further. So yeah, I will just check the chat box.
There are a few questions, I feel.
Okay. Intensive thoughts. How do we control and win over it?
Sutiji, namaste. Thoughts and propelling thoughts, are two different things. Thoughts come and go. those are not, dangerous, because we have this structure called mind, which will think. Mind itself, it's a structure of thought, thoughts collection. But the thoughts become intense. They are provoked with something called, I'll put in the chat to bring that surprise element. Attachment. Many a time the word attachment is, portrayed positive. I'm so attached to my kids, I'm so attached to my job, It is portrayed positive. That's the problem that we have. We do not know how. Just a moment. Wrong window, sorry. We do not know how attachment can lead us to pitfall. I missed that slide. Bhagavan Shri Krishna in Gita says, Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayati. He gives the genesis of misery, how you move into trouble. He gives the entire genesis pattern. The first thing that he says, overthinking, thinking in the loop. Thinking in the loops is charged so much in the sense that you develop attachment, egoistic attachment to the person, to the object, to the target that you have to accomplish, to the circumstance so easily that when you are out of such situations, like when you are not with those favorable people, at that favorable circumstance, with those favorable things, you get perturbed. So attachment is what makes the thought to be intense, and that's what you have to win over. How do you win over? How do you control over the sense of attachment, egoistic attachment? Stop looping. That's what Jnana Yoga says. Cut at the very root. I do not know, ma'am, but still after an hour and a half, I realized that I was thinking about that object for a while. This is the problem of many beginners, Hence, I would say being aware of every thought. How is that possible, ma'am? How do you do that? How do you do it in your class, yoga class? When Ketki makes you to do yogasanas by flow, she doesn't make you relax. One asana to the other asana, to the third, to the fourth. Still your mind is so well constructive. How do I bring my right toe up? How do I close my left hand behind? You're aware all the time. This is what yoga teaches us. Be aware, be aware, be aware. When you are constantly in touch with that inner awareness, you can cut the root of thought, cut overlooping of thoughts, and hence that's how you are out of the clutches of attachment. Thank you. Hope it helped.
So any other question?
More than questions, there are remarks, Ketki. Thanking for the session. I think they have to leave. It's high time that we understand this.
Okay, there is one question coming up. How can you always see everyone as yourself?
Penny is very difficult. I'm still practicing upon it. Bhagavan Shri Krishna advises Arjuna. Arjuna says, look, that is my grandfather. You know, these are all my sons. They are not my brother's sons. They are my kith. They are my kin. No? And you are asking me to, wage war against them, to kill them? How can you do this? This is the greatest papa, the greatest sin that I can ever imagine of. And you, as so-called wisest king, you are making me do this? He's asking. Krishna says, look, they are evil. I'm asking you to kill off the evil inside the person, not the person. He says. How can he ever think like that? Because he knows in his mental frequency that Duryodhana is nothing but Krishna. And that's why he himself could be a messenger. You know, on those times, a messenger is a person who, who's set on a horse and who has nothing, he's not wise enough, he does not have a post, he's just a servant or a maid servant that is being sent. That's it. Krishna took up the post of a messenger, went and spoke to Duryodhana, appeasing the war, and then come to terms of agreement. He did that too. Without even thinking about all the insults, all those evil things that he did. He could see that because essentially the nature of Penny, the nature of Ketri, the nature of Vendi, nature of Narayanji, nature of Lalita, one and the same. Just like the atomic physicist example that I told you. It is very difficult because with the glasses that we wear, he is wrong. I was the one who was right all the time. It's always us, For PS, it's always us who is right. That is again an egoistic attachment. Okay. Ignore that. We always wear a big glass which says this is green, and then we wear a blue glass, it shows it is blue. We wear a red spectacle, which says, oh, the people around are red. How do we see people? With our glasses. And these glasses are set by our mind. Our preconceived thoughts, right? But don't you see essentially the original nature of everyone in our life? One who has wronged us, one who has helped us, one who had cared for us, one who had been kind and humble, one who had, fought with us, beaten us black and blue. Everyone is one and the same. And to practice that, is difficult. Yet, one thing can be done, Penny. Next time when you see the person who fought with you, next time when you see the person, one who was very humble and kind, caring for you, don't wear spectacles.
That's the practice, that's the sadhana. Okay, so the next question, on the deathbed, should one try to remember Om or Shri Krishna, or is Shri Krishna is Omkar himself? Sorry if it's too naive.
No, Amy, it is not at all naive, please. Gita and Upanishads has various commentaries, and each commentary is regarded high because of its various perceptions. A person who is standing on the 9th floor can describe the roof of the building in his way of perception. The person who is standing on the 11th floor will describe the roof in his way of perception. A person who stands on the roof sees the entire building, sees the entire city around, will describe according to his perception, right? Similarly, Om is Krishna himself. That is also true. Om is that Nirupadika Brahman, the attribute put in the seated form, unmanifested abstract form. That Brahman is also Om. So you can chant Om, remembering Krishna also, remembering Shiva also, remembering you yourself, not remembering, establishing your connection with Krishna, establishing your connection with Mahadeva, establishing your connection with you yourself. Okay, so all three are legible. Good to go.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll take up this last question. Will meditation practice and contemplation on the scriptures alone help us to transcend our limitations?
Namaste, Wendy. First of all, we should understand what kind of scriptures that we are following. Knowledge over scriptures leads nowhere. Upanishads themselves call it as aparavidya, inferior knowledge. Paravidya, the ultimate knowledge is experiencing the self. So the superior knowledge only can transcend, even though you follow scriptures, even though you don't follow scriptures. But I should say, Wendy, beginners like us, like I find myself as a 3-month-old baby in terms of spirituality. A 3-month-old baby needs the care of mother, needs milk, can't speak, can cry only. Only a mother can understand his or her needs, right? So in terms of spirituality, you need a guru, you need an alambana, a support. So knowledge support from scriptures, knowledge support, sadhana support from guru is very, very essential while you move, while you progress in spirituality. So if you think, okay, reading scriptures is inferior knowledge, let me close my eyes, meditate spiritually, realize what is my inner self. Sometimes 3-month-old baby cannot do, no. We get deranged with the distractions of mind. Sometimes mind shows so many beautiful pictures, colors. And then we start to think, oh, there are revelations happening in my meditations. So these things happen. Hence, you have to be very, very careful. Grounding on the basis of scriptural knowledge, support of a guru, then you can lead somewhere in the path of spirituality. I hope I was clear, Wendy.
Beautiful analogy. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in the session, putting in beautiful questions and even answering even beautifully to all those questions. Thank you once again, Lalitha, and I hope that we'll get to listen to you in future once again, because it's such a interesting topic, and I think you are the apt person to, go in or go on and on and on, and we can listen to you on and on and on.
There are many others, gurus of ours, you know it very well.
But thank you once again. And soon I will be sharing this recording. So if you feel, you can share with your friends too. If you're interested, you can join my WhatsApp group, Divine Chants, because from the next month, we'll be exploring Vibhuti Yoga from Bhagavad Gita. So you'll see in different forms how the same divinity is there in you, in me, in trees, in sky, in the entire universe. So I will just share in the chat box if you want to join that group. And yes, so thank you very much. And we'll see you next month in Bhagavad Gita session. Thank you, Lalitha, once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you very much.
questions. Thank you. Thank you, Narayanji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhirji.